Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Jay is off tonight. President Trump says China's tariff attacks on American farmers are useless. Today, the president kept his show on the road, aiming to reassure those impacted most by the trade war that his America First policies are best. Tonight, Nicole Killian is in Washington, D.C. with the latest on the president's trip to the Midwest.
Men and women like you who make our country great, who make our country run.
President Trump addressed steelworkers in Illinois, celebrating one company's decision to reemploy thousands of laid-off workers. He said that shows tariffs are working.
We are once again pouring new American steel into the spine of our country.
Earlier, the president held a roundtable in Iowa, where farmers are struggling under Chinese retaliatory tariffs. The president hailed his trade breakthrough with the European Union as a whole new opportunity for American farmers.
It's going to be a really great thing for our farmers because you have just gotten yourself one big market that really essentially, wouldn't you say, Kim, never existed.
The EU agreed to import more American soybeans and liquefied natural gas. This week, the administration also announced a $12 billion farm aid package to ease the dispute with China. But many lawmakers and even some farmers aren't happy about it. Illinois soybean farmer Dave Kestel says he'd prefer trade, not aid.
I mean, I understand they're trying to help us. I get that, but it's not a long-term fix. It's a pacifier, so to speak.
President Trump said he's also looking forward to Friday's report on the gross domestic product, expecting a strong growth rate of 4% or more. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Recent trade and tariff issues are cutting into profits for American farmers. Montana wheat farmers expect to lose $65 million in sales, with China adding a 25% tariff to U.S. crops. Farmers say the solution is to eliminate tariffs and negotiate trade agreements.
We are pleased to see the administration was acknowledging that the escalating trade war is having an impact on farmers. Unfortunately for farmers in Montana, the tariffs on wheat have caused the Chinese market to move away from buying U.S. grains, including wheat out of Montana.
We've been working generations and generations to develop markets all around the world, as we do live in a world that's getting smaller every day. And we're losing those export markets. We're losing certainty. And without certainty, you cannot plan for the future.
The U.S. ag industry exports more than it imports, and that trade surplus is expected to grow to $22.5 billion this year. If you're cooking up hamburger that's labeled product of the USA, you might assume the beef you're about to eat was raised in the USA. A new federal court ruling could make sure that's the case. MTN's Russell Nimitz has details in tonight's Montana Ag Report.
Well, now that we have a court-established finding that lack of country of origin labeling harms cattle producers in the United States, we're going directly to the White House.
In a lawsuit filed by RCAF USA, the organization alleged that the USDA was unlawfully allowing imported beef to be sold to consumers without a country of origin label and sold to consumers with a product of USA label, even if the animal from which the beef was derived was born, raised, and processed in a foreign country. RCAF USA CEO Bill Bullard says the court's finding is very important.
The federal district court found that the statute of limitations had expired to consider the merits of our country of origin labeling lawsuit. But very importantly, the court found that despite what USDA has said and despite what the meatpacking lobby has said, U.S. cattle producers were harmed when country of origin labeling was repealed, and that harm is fairly traceable to the USDA's actions in repealing country of origin labeling. So that clearly establishes what we've said all along, and that is country of origin labeling is beneficial to U.S. cattle producers, and the loss of that labeling will financially harm them, and the court agreed with us.
He says this is why it's even more clear that the Trump administration must act now.
President Trump has initiated a Buy American, Hire American program, and country of origin labeling fits right in. In fact, we've told the White House that unless we have labels that clearly distinguishes the U.S. product, U.S. consumers cannot choose to buy American, which is what we need to help rebuild our economy and help rebuild the middle class. So we're focusing right now on the White House. We have provided the White House with a lot of information about country of origin labeling. We know they're looking at it, and we're hopeful that they will initiate action to reinstate country of origin labeling very soon.
Ranchers like Scott Frazier from Reed Point, Montana agree that country of origin labeling is important for them and consumers.
The thing I like about it is it lets the consumer know that the beef that they're eating is born, raised, and slaughtered in America.
As for the future of country of origin labeling, RCAF USA says it's asking President Trump to immediately reinstate COOL, either through an executive order or through his ongoing renegotiation of NAFTA. In Billings, Russell Nemitz, MTN News.
Thanks, Russell. And those against country of origin labeling argue the regulation represents costly tracking and labeling, potential retaliatory tariffs, and a signal to our trading partners that the U.S. is not willing to abide by international trade decisions. Dangerous wildfires continue to burn through the western part of the U.S. tonight. In Southern California, a massive blaze has destroyed homes and burned nearly 5,000 acres. This raging wildfire intentionally set, and now 5 homes are just ash on the ground. Record-breaking heat is helping fuel wildfires and making it difficult for crews to put out those flames. Thousands of firefighters are battling at least 60 large fires across 15 states. And turning to weather, we were expecting a little bit of unsettled weather across our region. How'd that pan out tonight, Bob?
Well, it's moving towards us, but I don't think it's quite as angry as it used to be. Let me show you. Here's what's happening on the Doppler radar. We had a big storm over there by Big Timber, and it had a little bit of hail, and I knew it was starting to come right at the Billings area, but you'll notice it just started to fizzle out just about the time it crossed the county line. So right now we're getting some light rain in Billings, but that's about it. We'll pull back a little bit farther and show you that we've seen another thing change. We had a northwesterly flow of air yesterday, and we still have that in Wyoming, but back here in Montana, the winds are kind of swung around to more of a westerly flow, so those storms are not coming straight out of Great Falls now. They're just kind of coming in from the west, and we don't have too much more there. But look at how much hail we had. Look at the size of these hailstones today. Reed Point, 1 3/4 inches. Boyd, same thing. Bridger had 1 inch hail. In Wyoming, we had 1 1/2 to 1 3/4 inch hails in many places, including Casey and also Midwest. So, yeah, it's been an active night. It looks like things will start to settle down a little bit now as we start to cool off. We'll have more in your forecast in a few more minutes. Jeanelle?
All right. Thanks so much, Bob. The community of Choteau still cleaning up after strong storms tore through central Montana Wednesday. Residents tell us Choteau city workers were on the street cleaning up immediately. Now, large uprooted trees, down branches, and debris covered the streets and sidewalks. All hands were on deck this afternoon with neighbors jumping in to help. Facebook has taken a lot of hits recently. This may be the worst. Today, Facebook had the largest one-day drop in Wall Street history. Wired Magazine's Nicholas Thompson explains why Facebook's focus on privacy may hurt profits.
The social media giant's stock plunged $120.9 billion by market close today. That's more than the entire value of Starbucks, UPS, and Goldman Sachs. The last one-day drop that even comes close was in 2000, when Intel lost $91 billion. The sell-off began during Wednesday's earnings call, when Facebook's chief financial officer revealed that profits would continue to sink. CEO Mark Zuckerberg explained why.
We're investing so much in security that it will significantly impact our profitability.
From now on, Facebook will do more to keep you safe and protect your privacy.
Facebook rolled out this ad in April, promising to address data misuse after admitting that political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica collected information from up to 87 million Facebook users.
Stop apologizing and let's make the change.
We should have handled a lot of things here differently.
Facebook is also struggling with its promise to combat fake news.
I mean, Mueller covered up for a decade for Epstein kidnapping kids, flying them on sex planes.
The company is under pressure to explain why InfoWars and other sites that promote conspiracy theories are allowed to use the platform. And recently, Zuckerberg had to clarify controversial comments he made that appeared to defend the Holocaust deniers, originally saying it's not right to take someone off the platform if they get things wrong.
A new effort launched by the federal government and aided by state officials is aimed at helping you help veterans and active service members. In tonight's Fraud Watch, MTN's Jacob Fuhrer tells us how you can spot fake charities.
As Americans, we like to be patriotic and honor those who fought for our country. Sometimes it's with memorials like this one in the capital city. Other times it's parades or we donate money. But with that last one, we have to be careful because not every organization is honest about where that money goes. To combat veteran charity scams, the Federal Trade Commission and state governments recently launched Operation Donate with Honor, a program that aims to do two things.
To go after charities that are shams in terms of the way that they present themselves or they take in the donations and the way they spend them. And it's also a major education and outreach campaign.
Scammers have little moral compass and they're preying upon people's good hearts.
These charity scams usually promise to provide needed help and services to veterans like employment and mental health counseling or care packages. What's worse, the fake charities are tricky to spot because they're everywhere, online or over the phone, in the mail, door to door, even in retail stores. They even have convincing names like Healing Heroes Network or American Disabled Veterans Foundation.
There's really no one particular area that consumers need to watch out for. It's more of a matter of being on alert all the time.
State officials recommend checking online to verify a charity is real. Also, donate local and ask friends and family where they gave their money in the past. If the charity has a brick and mortar location, that's usually a good sign. Don't ever wire money, pay with cash, or use a prepaid card. Instead, pay with a credit card or check.
But it also hurts legitimate charities when money is diverted to scam organizations. So you have to be very careful again and do your homework.
In Helena, Jacob Fuhrer, MTN News.
Thanks so much, Jacob. Coming up on tonight's Q2 10 o'clock news, your blood pressure and your brain may have more in common than you think. Find out how you can help fight dementia. And in sports tonight, legendary football coach Bob Petrino has passed away. Scott has reaction from family and friends.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.